Hello, everyone. How are we doing tonight? Nice to see you. Thank you for coming. Oh, hi. Honey Badger, hi. I'm not sure if you're here anymore, but hello. And Hope, same for you. Nice to see you. Hello, Marcy. Intuitive, nice to see you. Pixel Pixie, hi. HRC, hello, hello. Nicole, hello. Natasha, hi. How's everybody doing today? Have we all had a good day? It's going to be uh, pretty serious conversations that we're having here, but very, very important conversations. So I'm going to bring up the ladies that are going to be joining me on panel tonight. First, we have Lokamai. Hello.
Hello, my dear. How you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, and the dogs are saying hi too.
Oh,
Hi,
hello,
chat.
puppies.
Uh,
Sleuth Mom, hello.
Hi guys.
How are
Hi
you?
everyone.
How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. So we are going to be having a conversation, and it's going to be a bit different than the ones that you're used to hearing when it comes to this topic. So, I mean, we can't get around that what's been going on YouTube this past week, right? So, there's been a lot of discussion happening with Jared, right? And so it's caused a lot of people to become triggered. And there's a lot of people that are survivors, whether they have come out and openly discussed that or they have never told anybody their entire life. There's a lot of people feeling it, and there's been a lot of weight and heaviness that's been on YouTube. And so, what we would like to do is actually have the discussion with all of you about this and the struggles that we have, and maybe explain for some if they don't know. If you're in here and you have never experienced it before, you may have a loved one, a friend, a coworker that has experienced this. And so we're going to kind of go through some of it, some of the assault, right? There's different forms of sexual assault. And so we're going to go through some of this stuff, and then we're going to be giving resources so that there's ways that you can reach out on your journey towards healing. And so that is what our goal is with tonight. And we're basically just going to be talking, and we want you guys to know that this is a safe place. And so you can feel free to add as much or as little as you'd like. And if at any point it becomes too much or you feel overwhelmed or triggered, please know that you absolutely can take a break. You can step away. And not only you can, you should, right? For yourself. Take care of you first, please. We want you to be okay, right? This is about healing and not hindering. And that is our goal with doing this, right? Is to give those of us who've been struggling an outlet, a different type of discussion rather than just discussing the things that are triggering and upsetting, and we can kind of come together and all be in the same place, and just to remain understanding of everybody, right? Stay respectful, give grace to one another, and honestly, to myself, have been struggling, and so I mean, I could probably use a little bit of grace too. I'm not gonna lie about that. But yeah, ladies, do you have anything to say? Anything to add?
I just I honestly I've been seeing so many comments and during the live chat streams, everyone seems to be affected by this, whether if it was them personally or someone they know. And that's why, I personally feel like this is one of the most important topics that we will probably ever discuss because it does touch so many families. Like, you are not alone if you have gone through this. But just because it's everywhere, right, doesn't mean that it's the normal or the right thing to be happening. And so if you're in a situation like this, if you have family members or someone who is going through this, the resources we're going to be talking about, they're so important that you can get help. You don't have to deal with this type of abuse or any abuse for that matter. So,
No, I agree totally there. This is something that affects more people than we. A lot of times, when people are dealing as survivors of something like childhood abuse, sexual abuse, incest, anything like that, it's not something that you feel like you're sharing with many other people. You feel totally alone. You are like the only one that it feels like it's happening to. And yet, in reality, it it affects so many people, and not only just as the victim but as family members. Okay, family members have to go through it all also emotionally, knowing their loved one was hurt. Oh, I'm very quiet, sorry, my mic got reset earlier. So I think it's really great for us all to be able to come together, support each other. Okay, let each other know that you are not alone. And there are, like Slee said, so many different ways you can get support, that you can support other people, that you can help yourself when you find yourself getting triggered, when you're watching a video right now and you feel yourself getting triggered by the discussion popping up. So, yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, ladies. Yeah, it is. This is a really important discussion. It's not talked about nearly enough. And what we want to do is it break that cycle, right? There's such a stigma around this topic of just sexual assault as a whole. But there's many forms of sexual assault, and um, and then it goes even deeper if you're talking down the lines of what we've been seeing throughout the week, and so it gets to incest. And it's so taboo, right? You can't talk about it. You shouldn't talk about it. If you do, it could be embarrassing. It's shameful. There's a lot of guilt. There's so much around it that it's not fair to the survivors. We don't deserve it, right? We didn't ask for this to happen to us. We didn't do anything to deserve it to happen to us. And we should not be held captive to the traumas that were put forth upon us. It is our right to be able to speak the truth. And even if that comes at the cost of losing people, losing family members, if that's what we need to do to heal and live a healthier life for ourselves, we all have our own journey and we're all in different places with that journey. But we want you to know that there are so many different options for you to be able to reach out to. Um, and I don't, some people aren't for counseling. Me personally, it was the best thing I've ever done. I was not accepting to it when I was young. I rejected it really hard, but as an adult, it's really helped me a lot and made me come to a lot of realizations and take steps that have put me in the healthiest place I've ever been in. Am I still coping and working through everything? Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Um, but I would like to show you this, and we're going to go through some of this. So if you see over here on this side, you can see these little people, right? Um, every 68 seconds, an American is sexually assaulted, right? So sexual violence affects hundreds of thousands of Americans each year. While we're making progress, even today, only 25 out of every 1,000 rapists will end up in prison.
and that's like crazy to me, but a big part of that is rape kits hardly ever get processed. You think that whenever you have this happen to you, that you're going to go to the doctor, they're going to do this rape kit. Sorry if I'm saying that word, sorry. You're going to do this kit and they are going to, find the person who did it, right? Or they're gonna convict the person who did it, and you're gonna be safe and happy and loved and, not have to worry about the fact that this guy is out there or this woman is out there anymore, and that's just not the reality. There are thousands, hundreds of thousands of kits currently sitting backlogged because police departments don't have the finances to run these kits on every single victim, and it's absolutely insane to me. Rain actually helps with that, and I'm sure you're gonna get to that at some point while you're looking at their page, but this is one of the organizations that Gray Hughes donates to on a regular basis, and honestly, someone that once I start hitting, hitting a reasonable amount on my channel that I'm able to I wanna also support Rain because this one needs all the funding it can get, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, if we talk about so many organizations, and this is so important for so many people.
Right. No, Rain has been there forever. I was telling Burden this last night. Rain has been one of the ones that I've donated to for over 20 years. I remember them being there when I needed to make a phone call. Okay, they are there for people. They go out there and they get the education done. They help people out. I did want to say one thing real quickly. In talking right now, you're noticing that we are using words here. We're not using a lot of the acronyms and all. I know for me, for example, I believe words do have power. I took the power back from actions by being able to say the words, even though it's hard to say at times. And I also realize there's a lot of people in chat that this is reality for you. Please
Right.
take care of yourself while you're watching this today. If you find yourself getting triggered to the point that you need to walk away, walk away. If you need to speak out in chat about what's going on, speak out in chat, speak your truth. Okay, ground yourself. Find those things that help you ground yourself and make sure to use them during this whole, because we are being very, very upfront and open right
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, did you ever think that in 2022 that we would really be in this place in our lives where this is still happening on a day like, back in the day, whenever a lot of the taboo things were happening in families,
now.
it's all brushed under the rugs
Yeah,
and all of that stuff, and they blame it on, like, "Oh, well, that's just the way things were back then,"
exactly.
but it's still like that in a
Yeah,
lot of families. It's still happening just like that in so many places. And then the fact that these kits, like, I would have never thought in 2022 that only 25 out of every 1,000 end up in prison. Like, that's
yeah,
insane to me.
yeah.
Like,
It's
you can tell
very
me which cow like farted to ruin our ozone layer, but
exactly.
you can't solve this with DNA? I
Yep.
don't know.
It amazes me that people go in and we get these kits. It's one of the hardest times of your life, and you can go through and get a kit done and all that, thinking, okay, this is going to make the difference. It's going to make the difference for me. Then it sits in a warehouse, and in many cases, is still sitting there months, even years later,
Mhm.
because they're just not being reviewed. And we
Mhm.
need to start doing that because they're a huge help to being able to stop these people that are out there. And doing that, maybe raise that 25 up higher.
Well, and, like, the sad part about it is stranger rape is the least common, and so
Mhm.
we're thinking about, okay, 25 out of every 1,000, you know, those are probably, like, I don't know, like, I just your victim, or your assaulter, I guess I should say. You know the predator most of the time, and so the fact that only 25 out of every 1,000, like, that seems low to me considering that a lot of times we know who it is that hurt us.
I agree. I
So
agree
as we're
totally.
talking, I just want to bring your attention really quickly. Do you see these little people that were over here I showed you?
Mhm,
Yep.
Now, if you see there's a counter, it says it's at 17 seconds, 16, 15, 14, 13. That is the 68 seconds for an American that's been sexually assaulted. And so from when I brought this page up, and there we go.
Right there.
Another person has just been sexually assaulted. And we're back at
um,
the 69, 68, 67. And so
Right.
at the end of this countdown, just in that time frame, about 1 minute's time frame, another person in America will have been sexually assaulted. That to me is absolutely heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Um, and as I said, the silence around all of this is not right. And I think that what is it? The squeaky wheel gets the grease.
Mhm.
Yep.
The louder that the survivors are, the more power we're going to give to the people that are coming behind us, right? To
Hmm.
show them that this is okay. We can be an example through our own journeys. And it just
No, that's
it's
it.
devastating.
That's it. We're speaking for the people in the future. Exactly. We're letting them know that you are not alone.
Hmm.
Well,
Okay.
and it
We've
doesn't
got
have to
people.
be a deep,
Yeah.
dark secret.
No, no.
This is everybody's deep, dark secret, it seems like in our chats,
Yep.
the thing that they've never talked about, the thing that they were never allowed to say. It didn't happen to me personally, but it happened to one of my younger siblings. And, her rapist, threatened all of our lives if she ever spoke up. And so she stayed quiet and she suffered in silence for years. Um, and so you don't have to be silent anymore. You can get free from this. You can heal and you can help other people by letting them know that it's also okay to speak out, to stop the abuse, to get help.
Yeah, I'm very sorry for your sister and what she
Oh,
experienced. And then
yeah.
ultimately it affects the family. So I'm sorry for
And
you as
that's it.
well, because this doesn't just affect the one
Mm,
person. A lot of times it other people, when they find out, are heavily affected by it because you want to help them. You want to take the pain away.
mhm.
And there are some of these sites for people that are supporters, right? That are there to support somebody that's been a survivor of any kind of the sexual assault, and this includes
Mhm.
domestic violence as well.
Oh,
And
yes.
so but also if it happens inside your family, and it's something to do with the incest, it may not just be one, it may be multiple of the children, or it could be one, and the others may feel guilt of, I don't
Yes.
understand why they went through that. Why them? I wish I could take that from them. Not that you want it, but you want them to not have it. And
That's
so
it.
there's a lot of confusion with that feeling. And um, yeah, it's just it affects a lot of people
Mm,
surrounding the individual,
right.
especially again in incest, if it's a family that does not want you to speak out, if they do
Right.
not want you to say something. And that is a really big issue that we have here, is that this is happening to children who can't go get help. They can't go report it to the police. They can't, they are only in the capabilities of what their parents do. And parents, a lot of times, most of the times, will either not believe them, or if they do believe, it is a hush hush. Keep it
Mm,
quiet. Do not speak of this outside of the home. No, we will not be reporting it, because they want to also protect the other person, the person who actually
mm,
committed the offense.
right.
It's very confusing. I know that I spent how all the years it's trying to comprehend what why don't my why are they not supporting me, and why do they not understand, and why do they not, do they not believe, and um to be heard is extremely important, and I certainly wasn't heard. um
Yeah.
and then ultimately the family didn't they got the two of them anyway out of the home. And
Right.
the third instance that had happened to me, I didn't speak on until I was an adult, and it got downplayed to, this happens in all families, and it's just curiosity and
Mm-mm.
experimenting.
Yeah.
That is not okay. I am sorry to be the one to bring it to everybody. But listen and please understand, no, no, no. It is not
Exactly.
okay.
Yeah.
It's not normal. That should not be happening inside of your home. You should be being protected and never have this downplayed of, oh, it was just an experiment. It was just a testing. No, because they
Yeah.
just took away your innocence.
Yeah.
They just
Yeah.
took away something you can never get back again.
Yeah.
Well, and I
Right.
think
And a
that's
lot of,
something important that I mentioned the other day too, Burden, was
yeah.
while we were talking, I think we were on my channel. You know, talk to your kids. Talk
Mm,
to your kids about what's appropriate and what's not appropriate before they even get to that age. I know it's kind of taboo. You don't want to talk to your kids about sex and like
Right.
it's weird and blah blah blah, but I'm sorry, they get to that age where there is curiosities,
Yes.
especially, and I'm not going to say that men are the only ones who do this, but especially young boys, right?
Hmm. Exactly.
They hit that curiosity at an earlier age, I believe, than what girls do. And I think it's just important to explain to them, like, this is your body. This is their body. This is, like, don't touch or look at
Exactly.
or whatever anybody else's body. You
Exactly.
know what I mean? And so I think that it needs to just start being a conversation with parents, but people are too scared to talk, right? They're too scared to even talk to their own kids about something so important.
Well, I think
Um,
sometime a lot of, especially with parents, okay, in general, when it comes to child abuse, sexual
mhm.
abuse, you get into this thing where there's a feeling that you failed your child also. So
Yeah.
some of the parents, yeah, you go to them. I remember actually going when I was in my 20s online to research the whole thing about the innocence bit. I knew how I felt, but I was like, well, it can't be anything like that because, okay, look at this. Okay, they're saying here kids are just they're curious and they're all that, and you have to say no and you all these other things, and you forget all the other ways things play in here. And then you go talk with family, and especially if you're a child, you never want to upset your parent. And the moment you
Mhm.
start having that discussion as a child, your parent's reaction is going to say a lot. If your parent starts getting nervous and stuff like, and it's a good thing for parents, I think, to actually play it out in their head just in case this discussion ever comes up. So they're already realizing, okay, this is how I need to react, because your first thought is, oh my God, I failed them and all that. And your child feeds off of that, and then they're going to pull back and they're not possibly going to tell you the full truth because they don't want to upset you. And
Well,
you,
especially if they've been
yeah.
threatened or
Mm-hmm.
asked not to speak or whatever, if they think that it's gonna get that other person in trouble even, it could
Yep.
make them hesitant to say something.
Yep.
I
Totally.
think that that's I think that okay, I think that the parents' reaction to this story that we heard over this last week, I think that that was probably the most triggering and frustrating part of a lot of what was said for me, because the idea of this person's sister, or cousin, I mean, telling her parents what happened, and then they ostracized her from the family. She was the one who was in trouble. She was the one who was casted aside. She was
Mm-hmm.
the one who was the black sheep. It was all her fault that it happened, and they just pushed her completely out of the family. He literally, like, he murdered a part of her that she will never get
Oh, yeah.
back,
Oh, yeah.
and a whole life that could have happened, like, if she would have been raised in a happy, loving home, if she would have been giving the same opportunities for advancement and everything else that her siblings or other people in her family were, and I think that that was the hardest part for me, because you see it so much where these people who have gone through this just are cast aside as if they did something wrong. It drives me insane.
Yep.
yeah.
Exactly.
I want to touch on what Neil had said.
Oh,
Um,
I agree.
and even though the rape kits may have problems with the way that they are getting processed, please don't let somebody avoid getting one if something happens to them. And I agree,
Agree.
right? I absolutely,
Agree.
totally, totally agree that if ever You are in a position that it has occurred. Somebody has taken advantage of you and assaulted you. Absolutely. If you please do not be discouraged. Um, it is extremely, extremely difficult. It's a hard thing to go through because you've just been assaulted and then you have
Mm-hmm.
it's almost like another type of assault.
Assault.
Right? And so we understand and we sympathize with you on that because I mean there's no way around it. It's really difficult thing to go through. And but that don't not do it if you have the strength to take yourself, please, please absolutely
Yes.
do it. If this can get justice, if this can stop that person who did that to you from doing it again, whether it to you again or whether to other people, other innocents, other children, you could be saving that pain and that heartache from others, right? This is it's really hard because there's being you're the victim but you're the survivor, right? And there's different
Right.
honestly, how I see it is that you start off as the victim, right? You have been victimized.
Hitting
There
it.
is no way around it. You absolutely are a victim. You are. And uh as you transition, you move forward, y-
It's
ultimately
the
you have
first step.
survived. You are a survivor. What you went through, you're still here, you're still surviving, you're a survivor. And so you absolutely can be both, right? And so but if you can prevent others from being victims and going through the pain, I mean all that comes with it, this involves um a lot of mental health conditions and disorders are stemmed from sexual abuse. Psychologically, what is done because of the abuse put upon children in specific at such a young age and that happening to you, it does possibly develop in lifelong, um, or until you get help, right? And that is why I do encourage counseling or therapy, or even if it's these support groups we're going to show you.
Right.
There are so many different places that you can reach out. And so this is a positivity of the internet. We talk
Yeah.
about dangers of the internet, but there are some positives, and with that
Right.
comes that there are places you can be and be anonymous, and it's a closed group is what I should say, right? Like
Right.
it's a Facebook group but it's closed down and locked up, and so you do have the privacy. Some of them will even kind of do like a bit of a vetting process where they kind of ensure that it's safe that you are even in that
Right.
group, right? The last thing you would
Years
want is somebody in there. Go ahead.
Yeah. Years ago, first of all, I wanted to say, yeah, the first thing with any of this is start to take your control back
Yeah.
because it is this feeling of having all your control taken away. That ability to take that exam is your first step in taking that control back. Okay, actually, your second. Your first is saying it happened. Okay, and I'm not letting this person scare me away anymore. The second is taking that exam and saying, you know what? You're not in control. I'm the one making the decisions for me and my own body now. And as for the start with the groups and all you were just talking about, that's actually how I started. I had done therapy throughout bits of my life and all that. And I'll be honest, it was not quite working for me. It wasn't the right time yet for me, but I found this was way back early 2000s. I got involved in a group on Delphi forums. And we were all there as survivors, helping each other through whatever we were going through, helping each other learn skills, helping each other figure out what the next step was. And for me, at a certain point there, it did become therapy, and it took me a couple times to find the right therapist. I think a lot of us feel like, oh, well, I went to therapy, it didn't work. Honestly, gang, I found I had to go through probably 4 or 5 different therapists before I found the right one who figured out how to work with me and help me start to deal with all the emotions that came with it. And even that one, we almost had to work 6 months before I was able to finally start getting through to what was going on. And so sticking with it, keeping pushing forward because you're worth it in the end. Okay, whether it is coming into a Facebook group or a Delphi group or, okay, a Discord group or whatever, and talking and speaking up for yourself, coming into chat right now and saying, hey, this happened to me. Okay, you're worth that. And then as time comes, you become stronger and stronger and stronger. Honestly, I believe I am the person I am today because of what happened to me. It helped give me so many more abilities to understand people, to feel for other people. And I think that's with most survivors I run into. They're the most amazing people in the world because they have had to go through hell. So, yeah, sorry
Yeah.
for interrupting
Well,
you.
I want to say to you, I'm sorry that you experienced this, Olgamai, that you've been through this and um, you've had to learn to cope, right? Over the years and get by. And you're strong. You're very strong. Thank you for sharing, right? I really appreciate it. Yeah.
I want to ask
Um,
you guys because you guys have both kind of mentioned, you know, when you were ready for therapy.
yeah.
How did you guys know? Like, because there are so many people who never get to that therapy place in their lives, right? How did you guys prioritize that to be able to go? Do you know what I mean? To like know that, okay, this is what I need to do.
I became so ostracized from my family and completely overtaken by the trauma that I for myself to move forward. I knew that I needed help. I needed somebody to help me, and every time I've tried to speak with my family, I wasn't feeling. I didn't feel good at the end of the conversation. I felt like I was begging. I mean, I really was. I was begging and pleading for them to care. Can't you? Why don't you get? Because I had statements said to me, um, "You still looking in the rearview mirror, huh? What's back there? What you got back there, huh? Still living in the past, right?" And so it, I was being basically another re-victimized. My father was being verbally abusive to me, and then my brother picked up on it. A different brother picked up on it from my father saying it, and he began saying it to me, and I just became. I needed. I knew I needed something, right? I knew I needed help, assistance. I just felt so broken, but I wasn't in a place of denial. I knew what happened. I could speak on what happened to me, but I needed to have reassurance and somebody to say, "I believe you. I believe what you're telling me, and I'm sorry that that happened to you." And I'm telling you, I never had it happen my whole life, up until and one actually was a doctor over just a medical condition that said she believed me, and I broke down in tears and just cried because I had never had anybody just tell me that they believe me and that what I'm saying, I'm absolutely um, right, and it's okay, and that I was there and help was coming. And the same came with going to counseling and a therapist and ultimately psychiatrist as well for me. And so I personally I have two. I speak with somebody once a week that's my therapist, and then I have a psychiatrist that I have once a month that she checks in with me and makes sure that everything's going okay. And because of what has occurred as in my childhood and the abuse, I do have mental health conditions that developed. And so I've been diagnosed and I am being treated with medication. That's not always the answer for everyone because there are a lot of different techniques that they can do with you. So don't feel limited. You don't have to feel limited. But
I
I don't
absolutely
know.
love
It
that
was
you are
just
saying
something.
that so openly too, because we talk about mental health in our country so many times for so many of these cases. And this is what we need. We need people to put themselves and their mental health first, and we need it to be okay. It is
Mhm.
okay with me, Burden, that you speak to a counselor. It is okay with me that you talk to a psychiatrist. Like, it is okay with me that you are doing what you have to do to be okay, right?
Mm, thank you. Oh, thank you. Yeah, see,
I am.
this is what I'm saying. Like that, you have no idea how much that means to me. You really don't. Because like, yeah, it's a whole oddity around oh, you go to a counselor, you as if you're
Mm-mm.
some messed up, something. It's like, as a matter of fact, I am a bit broken. Yeah, I sure am.
I feel
Um,
like the taboo around
Well,
mental health is the same type of taboo around this issue, right?
exactly.
yes,
It goes right
Exactly.
back to brushing everything under the rug and
Exactly.
pretending there's nothing wrong and pretending you're this happy, perfect, perfect person.
Yep.
And it's
hmm
just, it's not the reality for any of us, guys. None of
Mm-mm,
us,
mm-mm-mm.
whether it's
Burden.
this or whatever.
Yeah, Burden, I am so sorry that you ever had that feeling of not being believed, of being less than, because that's what happens. When you're not believed, you start believing that you're less than, because you never should feel that way. You should be believed. If someone comes to you and says something, and I'm sorry you didn't have that. Okay,
thank
really,
you.
you've done an amazing job with being able to speak up for yourself and growing into who you are. And like you just said, saying, hey, I need to talk with someone about things. I need to be able to work these things out. I love and care about myself enough that I'm going to do that. And you show that in your behavior every single day. And I've noticed that. So no, you are a strong woman. You are a really strong woman. And
Thank
and
you.
always remember that. So
Oh, thank you.
yeah.
Yeah, because this is it's a struggle, right? The topic, the what has happened to us, and but I absolutely, it was even offered to me tonight. If you don't think you can do it, don't cover it. It's okay. And to me, it just wasn't an option because there are so many people out here that need to hear this
Hmm.
and need to have these resources and need to know it's okay to talk about this. And
Right.
you know, but yeah, I wanted to get back to you. What Sleuth Mom had asked you, how did you know that you were ready for counseling?
My case was a little weird because a lot of my stuff I blocked out. I
Mhm.
blocked a lot of shit out. I had bits and pieces of it most of my life. So I kind of knew something was going on, and I had done some therapy when I was really, really young, but never quite, things didn't come together. Um, into college, all that. And I'll never forget, I had just moved away from home. And I think for a lot of us, a lot of this time that we really start realizing we need to heal from what happened starts happening in our 20s. There's just something about maybe being out on your own for the first time or things like that. And I was out on my own. I lived on an island away from family, all that. I had just moved out on my own, and I could feel a lot of the emotions coming back. The triggers were there. Um, and things were trying to connect. And believe it or not, and I had to write it in private chat to remind myself of it. This was at the time Tori Amos put out her album Little Earthquakes. For those of you who know Tori Amos, she was assaulted at one point, and that album is basically heavily a autobiography of her story and a couple of the songs in it. And that is when I'd listen to that song and sing song after song, and things started coming together more and more. And I started realizing I can talk to people about it. I started feeling more comfortable talking. And I started, at that point, I was like, I got to have someone. I don't have the friends I can go to or things like that anymore because I had them beforehand. But now I was on my own. So I contacted a therapist because I realized it was making a mess of me at work. And over time, everything started coming together. I had to change therapists at one point, did the psychiatrist, psychologist bit, had to look at different things from hypnosis to EMDR. EMDR turned out to be the perfect thing for me. It really, really helped me because I was starting to deal with so many memories and triggers that I could feel myself shutting down at times. And I think a lot of it, honestly, was realizing that I could talk to someone and it wasn't going to come back and I wasn't going to get in trouble for talking. It's kind of hard to put into words, but I think that's where a lot of it came to for me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It comes with feeling. You get to a point that you're in uh, survival mode, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if that means being silent keeps you safe, then that's what we do.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
so as you get into different places and phases in your life, and like you were saying in your 20s, right? You start to get out on your own, you start to move away and get distance from others. You develop into your own person and you start to realize something's not quite right still, right? It's still kind of hanging on to you and weighing you down, right? You just can't shake
Yeah.
it. And yeah, but you're in a different place and around different people or away
Yeah.
from certain people. Yeah,
Ex-
there's,
yep.
yeah, a lot
Meeting
comes into
people.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, meeting people, getting to talk, even like this.
Mhm.
Okay, all of us in chat, okay, here on the panel, you start realizing you're not alone. Okay, it isn't something that, okay, just happened to you. Other people are having to go through what you went through. And in a way, you start developing bravery from watching other people. And you're like, they're going through this. They're being able to come out on the other hand. I can do it too. If they
Mhm.
can do it, I can do it. This is what
Mhm.
happened for them. Did writing in journals, for example, journals never worked for me. I was not a journal type person. Other people, that was key for them. So all of us have different things, but we can lean on each other and try to find out ways to get through to the other side.
Yeah, yeah. A journal. I actually that was my only outlet as I was younger. So initially, that was the first and only thing I really could do. But then it did get to a point that my stepmother was very intrusive and nosy, and she came into my room and was snooping through my things, and I didn't, I wasn't comfortable. I wasn't at a place of feeling it just, and so I destroyed my entire thing, and so yeah, I destroyed my entire journal and never wrote anything
That's
further, which kind of I've thought about it actually quite frequently about what did what
mm-hmm.
state was I in? What did I say? What did I write to myself?
Right.
Because I feel like I remember writing to myself. I know I remember being disgusted, and I
Mm,
felt disgusted with myself,
right.
right? I felt like I wanted to strip my flesh off of myself, right? I
Mm-hmm.
just wanted to exit me.
Right.
And I remember saying what he did to me, and then I remember describing how I felt, but I don't know if I gave myself any kind of advice or anything like that. And so I've frequently thought about that, but yeah, so I mean, even journaling now for people, if that helps you and that's the first place you start to talk and start speaking up, then absolutely.
It
Um,
is. It's little by little. Okay, when you're dealing with things like this, it doesn't all come out at once many times. Okay, it's starting to recognize what happened, acknowledge it happened, take the control back for yourself. Okay, and then learning the lessons you need. And that's the hard part, going through all the memories, trying to come to terms with the memories, the triggers, the all those other things that pop up at the same time. I mean, you could literally be at work, and this would happen with me. I would be at work and trigger to the point where, thank God I had my own office, because believe it or not, there were times I turned off my light and I crawled underneath my desk because it was the only place I knew I could be that was safe and people would not see me starting to fall apart. Um, my dad actually, in fact, you can kind of see him back there, the teddy bear right there. My dad knew I was going through all this and I was living on another island. And that teddy bear showed up in the mail for me from him. And as just a way, because he knew, okay, this is not easy. When you're healing from this stuff, it is not easy. And it doesn't happen overnight. And even when, like me, I don't go to a therapist anymore. I don't take medications or anything like that anymore. But for many, many years I did. But that doesn't mean it's over. I still go back at times. Okay, you guys know this, okay? Last night and today. Okay, last night I was triggering like heck as we were talking about what we were going to do today. Okay, in fact, I was telling you guys if I go off camera, I'm probably okay, because the past is there. You can't change the past. What you do is change the way you address the past, the way you allow the past to control you, is how I end up seeing it for myself.
Yeah, that's awesome that your dad did that for you too, though. That's so awesome.
Yes.
Um,
So I'll just go through some of this real quick for right. There's
Can I point this out? Go back up, take a look at all those colored
yeah,
in
yeah,
people now. When we started, there was what? One line barely?
yep. And now another
I
one just
saw
got
that.
added.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so sorry. Yeah, I had just seen that a few minutes ago and I was like,
How many we've got? 1, 2, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 per line. So 10, 20, 30,
38.
38 people. And so in the time that we've been discussing this, 38 people have been assaulted, sexually assaulted, just in the
Wow.
time that we've been discussing. And I've actually had this specific site brought up.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So thank you for pointing that out, because it's like when you see it,
Scary.
it's just
Should not be like that.
yeah, you can't imagine what was their experience.
And all the other people that get affected by it. Because
Yeah.
it's like missing people. It's not just the person who goes missing. They're the ones that are getting the acute experience, but it's all the family members, it's all the friends, it's all the other people who are going to be part of that person's life for the rest of their life.
yeah,
So, yeah.
absolutely. Like that's where I am with it. You get this guilt, like, well, why wasn't it me? Why couldn't I save her from it happening to her? Do you know what I mean? Like all of that. Um, like I wish I would have knew. How didn't I see the signs? Like you live with that forever, right?
Yeah.
But
Hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah.
She's a very, very strong person for what she has come through.
Well, and I'm
Yeah.
happy she had someone like you, too, because you're someone who's very understanding, empathetic, and I'm sure that's been a huge help to her, just to have you with her to
Oh
talk
yeah.
at times.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, it had to have been really nice for her to know that she could depend on you, right? Somebody, right? At that point, it can't be taken away what was done to us, but to know that we have the support by somebody, even just one person to believe us and to be there, just be there. Just if we need to speak, you believe, you hear us, and that means so much more than people really understand. I mean, it's such a simple thing to do, but it is one of the things that is missing in a lot of instances with people that go through this. And
Do
it's
you
not
think that
just
the more that you guys tell your story to people, that the more you like, I don't want to say like come to peace with what happened, but like the more that like, does it help heal? Does it feel healing
For
to like
me,
talk about it?
definitely.
Or is it something that, it just brings up everything again? Do you know what I mean?
For
I feel like it
me,
could go either way.
it does. Yeah, for me, it actually does both. It's not one or the other. Okay, it definitely brings back stuff, especially the first few times I said to you guys, okay, there's still one bit in my past that I can't even say the word. And but for the other stuff, sharing it, okay, if I'm in the right place to share it with people, and it definitely, yes, it brings back some of the feelings and some of the, okay, whether it be the emotional memories, the physical memories, things like that, do have the potential of coming back. But what I'm finding over time is where initially those seem to be in control, now I'm in control of those more. I have the ability to do something like right now. I've been holding my rhodonite like crazy. Okay, I've been able to find ways to kind of ground myself and tell myself, okay, wait, that was the past, this is now. Okay, I can address something and start realizing, you know what? Guess what? It didn't, I'm not getting hurt again.
Mhm.
Okay, I'm good. And then you share with someone else and they come back to you and say, you know what, that really helped me. And you're like, see, something good. Okay, so yeah, it's a combo for me. I'm not sure, Burden, how you are with it.
Um, I would say it doesn't it doesn't upset it doesn't make it doesn't trigger me. Well, I'm not triggered by it. I'm more I'm in a I do a thing where I can discuss it, but I'm not going back to it. Like I'm very descriptive of
Yeah.
I can talk about it and explain it, and I remember every like what happened leading up to it and what happened if I can remember everything,
Yeah.
and I can discuss it, but I discuss it as a matter of fact is how I when I talk on it. Um, and so I don't get emotional typically ever when I'm discussing it out front with people. I just kind of say it and it just kind of blip, blip, blip. It's just kind of out there, right?
Yes.
And but I think that it is more healing that I do that, right?
Yes.
Along the way, it has made it easier to
Yes.
talk about it and not be where I'm stuck in that place. It's typically if I'm having the personal thoughts myself, or actually what triggers me, I'll be honest about this one. What triggers me more than the actual um, assault, the actual person who committed, is the re-victimization. So
Mm, mm, yeah.
the not being believed by my family, the not being supported, not being helped, like that part triggered me for years on years on years on end. That made me very, that could make me really emotional because I then got angry and would say it's my, it was their responsibility to protect me, right?
Right.
And you're, rather than protecting me, you're going to protect him. Some people may experience this as well if you've gone through it, where they may invite the very person that committed the act against
Mm,
you to the family function, right? So you'll show up to a holiday or a family function, and you've got the person that has assaulted you sitting across the table, and you're supposed to act like everything's fine because of course you can't cause don't cause a disruption in the family, right?
yeah.
Don't
Exactly.
cause any waves. Just be on your best behavior. And it got to a point that I dealt with it for years, and finally I just couldn't take it anymore. I just couldn't, because that to me was like my father, just and then stepmother and everybody being uh content in it, complicit, my
Right.
brothers and sisters. You knew what happened to me, but you're just complicit in the situation. And so I got to a point where I was very finger pointing and very accusatory towards those that were in a position to protect me and didn't. And then you had an opportunity after the fact to be here for me, to support me, and you again didn't. And so I've really struggled with that a lot, um, an awful lot. That's really been a hard place that I've been in. And then
Mhm.
when I do get thinking about the situations, the occurrence, I don't know. I think there's something where I maybe dissociate from the.
I was going to say that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, because I don't often think of the detail, right, of the what happened.
Right.
But when I do, there's a
Yeah.
whole lot to it, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, so I do think I'm more dissociate, and so then I can just talk about it because I'm not connecting. I'm not connected to the actual interaction that occurred. If
Well, and
that
that's
makes any
kind of,
sense.
yeah, no, and that makes
Okay.
total sense. Anyone who's been through EMDR, in a way, that's kind of how EMDR works. It's being able to separate things in your, between your head and your body and stuff like that. And that's what dissociation does also. And, I think a lot more of us do. A lot of people get into this idea, what is dissociation? But every one of us, every single one of us here, whether you've been abused, assaulted, or anything, has disassociated at one point or another. Okay. And for many people, they use it as a way to help protect themselves, especially when something happens as a child. Okay. You've got to protect yourself, and you don't have the skills at that time to do it. So you do it in any other way you can. But I definitely
Right.
think, yeah, being able to just speak up and talk to people about things does make a, okay, look in chat right now. We have people speaking up and taking their control back.
Yeah.
And
I think that's
Yep.
what I was getting at. Like, it's okay to talk about. You
Mhm.
guys are primary examples, in my opinion, of people who have done everything that they needed to do for you, for you personally to get through what you went through. And it kind of, I just wanted it to be there for a reassurance for people in the chat. If you do say it out loud, if you do bring it up, it is not going to take over your life again. It's not going to, you're not going to stop, right?
Yeah.
If anything, it may help to
Right.
speak it out loud. Say it in a quiet room by yourself first, right? Say it to a therapist. Scream it from the roof if you need to, but just let it out and just say it, because otherwise, I feel like it's almost like you're not believing it yourself, or you're not trusting it yourself. Does that make sense? Does
Yes.
it? I mean, because you get so used to burying it and hiding it and trying not to make it be this present thing in your life, but it has happened. So just
mhm,
say it out loud.
yeah, yeah. You
Yeah.
can't change the past. Acknowledge it, honor it. It made you who you are today. And like I said, I think I'm a better person today because of what happened to me. Okay, acknowledge that it doesn't have to be the dirty little secret that we're all, that's written about in magazines and stuff like that. Okay, it's something that really truly makes you who you are, and is, it doesn't run your life, you run your life. So,
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
that's what I was trying to say. That right there. Thank you, Lokamai, for braining for me. Sorry.
we all brain together, create a nice brain when all of us come together, totally. So, Denise, yes. Okay, you wouldn't change your past. You wouldn't be who you are today if you did. You
Yeah.
wish it was different, I guarantee you that, but it's who you are. Okay, and yeah, it's just who you are.
Yeah, and Pixel saying the resentment for those that were around you during the worst is very real. I simply cut those people out for my own well-being. And Pixel, I also did. I also did. It took me until I was in my 30s, and I never thought that was an option because, well, it's my family, and so I forced myself. I just wanted to be accepted into that family, and I was just the black sheep and the black sheep and the black sheep. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
no, I will fit in. I will be loved. I will be accepted. I will. Like, you must be there for them. Anytime they needed something, I was there and present and available. And you just feel like it's family. You can't break those ties. You can't. It's blood. You
Yeah,
can, everybody. You can, because you have to protect yourself and you have to do what's best for you. And I'm not saying that it's easy, but I will tell you something. You will be healthier you will take out that toxicity. Um, it is the best thing. I never thought I would ever say this, right? That cutting my cutting all connection with my family off was one of the best decisions I've ever made in my life. I never thought I would say that, and it sounds it's is it unfortunate? You better believe it.
Yes.
Is there a mourning process? I went through that beforehand. I was already mourning the loss of them, right? And then I got to a point that I realized I never had them to begin with. I never had protection. I had been neglected. I had been abused. I had been abandoned. And even after all of it and speaking out to them, I still did not have support. So I never had them after all anyway. It was
Yeah.
just toxicity that I was holding on to, thinking I had to stay bound by that. And that is something, it's trauma bonding that will happen, and you actually will be bound to these people. Um, we can break those ties, everybody. You can. And it may, in fact, be what you've needed all along, right?
Yeah.
Because now you can heal you. You can focus on you, and you surround yourself with people who get it, who understand you, who care about you and love you and support you for who you are today. And you have found that online. If you ever need, ever, if you feel comfortable, you have us that you can reach out to. If there's something that you want to talk to us about, you want to open up about something in private, uh, just to keep it confidential, you can email either one of the ladies, or myself. I have Discord. They both have some Discord as well. So I have Facebook. I mean, there's different ways that you can reach us if you would like to speak to one of us. But just the community that you're meeting here in chat, the other people, other like-minded, or people that have been through the same type of abuse, we have so much in common that we didn't even know. I'm telling you, this week alone, I have recognized how much similarities I have from um, the survivor of the case that's been going on this week, right? Um, Even listening to the sister talk, she was very high strung and very like high speed, high talking, fast and rapid, and really trying to prove her point and saying things without hesitation, right? Without being respectful of the other person's ears, right? It might be a little bit vulgar sounding. Um, as a victim, there's a little bit of a, maybe I don't know if it's anger or exactly how you would describe it, but it's you just kind of blurt it out sometimes. If you're telling somebody, you may just say it very matter of fact, detailed, like, graphic. And I always knew after I said it, after it would come out of me, like there was better ways to say it, but I can't stop myself from that. I couldn't ever stop myself, and now I'm learning ways to actually calm myself down and just speak and just explain it without saying it so graphic. But I'm seeing this week that is a common thing that other people do. They will speak these things because to us, you can hear the least you could do is hear it. Like, don't be offended by what I said to
Yeah.
you, because
Like, I
we've
already
been
went through
through
like,
it.
I went through this,
Exactly.
so you can at
Exactly.
least hear what I went through. No,
Yes.
Exactly.
I totally understand what you're saying in that, because although I've never with SA, I have been a domestic violence,
Right.
victim, and a child abuse. I was abused by the physically um throughout my whole childhood, and some of the stuff that happened to me, like, people are, they get shocked, and it's like, well, sorry, I forgot that, like, that's not normal, I guess. Right.
Yeah, exactly.
You just
Exactly.
That's what it happened.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No.
because we lived it. We just can say it, and then we feel like the least you can do is deal with hearing it. Like,
Hear it.
don't be a
Yes, exactly.
you have no, you're offended by hearing it, like try living it,
Yeah,
right? And
exactly,
so
exactly.
yeah. And so I didn't know other people were like that. I had no idea until this week that that's not just like me being a jerk, like some jerkish behavior. Like, no, it really is it's very common. And
Yeah.
so and then, being the black sheep of the family, also very, very common, because of the secret that's trying to be kept inside the family. So that's really common, and you feel outcast. You're not alone. There's many, and so I just want you guys to know that there are communities of us who get it and who
Yes,
have been there, and we can relate to you. And
definitely.
so know that you are the least alone right now, no matter what your journey has been to this point, that when you're hearing us talk right now, you now have access to people that get it. We get it. We hear you, and
And we care.
we
Like,
believe. Yeah,
Yes,
yes,
yeah,
yes,
yes.
and we
yes,
We
care.
believe you. We care about what you have been through, and the trauma that's happened in your life. We want to hear your story if you feel comfortable to share it, right? So, know that you've got a lot of options now. You really, really do. I'm going to show you guys a couple of different sites that we have. So,
yeah.
um, I'm going to be dropping on the description area. I will put some of these different articles and things that we didn't exactly go over, but they do kind of go through incest being overlooked while addressing sexual assault awareness and prevention. And it talks about rape, abuse, and incest estimates, which is the same site that we're on right now, estimates that there are at least 34% of the perpetrators in cases of child sex abuse are a family
Sorry.
member of the victim. And so that was something Sleuth Bomb talked about in the beginning, was how we know the person that's done these acts to us. The percentage is very high. Um, Fathers happen to be reported to be the most common perpetrator of the incest. And so there's just but it can be siblings, mothers, cousins, uncles, aunts, other close relatives can be perpetrators. It can be any gender that can be the perpetrator or the victim, right? And so some of these sites that I'm going to share with you are actually for, like, there's one that's for military, there's one that's for men. Let me get myself where I'm trying to get to here. Do, 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 do.
You know, one thing I want to bring up while you're trying to look at that, one thing I
Yeah.
did want to mention, we were talking about when we went out to go try to get help and all. Having an online group is probably the number one reason why I was able to finally get help. One thing I am going to remind everyone, listen to your gut. While online groups can be the most useful and helpful for helping you move forward, and I personally feel everyone should find a group that they can talk to. Also, be careful if you do not have a therapist and you're doing that. Because sometimes one of the problems, and I know this is probably not going to be agreed upon by many people, by some people, but many of us who have gone through abuse in our lives are very codependent. And one of the things I found when I was in groups is all of our codependency actually started becoming a problem for us as we were trying to take that next step. I actually got very stuck in my abuse and my stories and all without healing from it because I was not, because of that codependency side of it. That's where the therapy became very important for me. And then the two of them work hand in hand. So listen to your heart. And if you feel like something is wrong when you're in those groups, you know what? Just be careful with that. Okay. They're
Mm-hmm.
definitely good, but just, yeah, in the back of your head because it almost became a problem for me. So, yeah, sorry, it just popped up.
No, no, it's good. It's good. I do want to say also in just another number in 1975, um, it was based off of like father-daughter incest in the United States. It was 1 in a million families. Okay, one and a million. As you fast forward just a bit, you end up getting to 1986. And the same thing, father daughter, anything from minimal to extremely brutal and aggressive type of abuse. It found 1 in 20 families that involved, and that's just the daughters and their natural fathers. And it's 1 in 7 families in which daughters reside with a stepfather. Um, and then early 1990s, there's kind of been that switch where there's a lot of studying and things going on, but it's extremely underreported. A lot of these numbers are not accurate.
I was
But
gonna say, I highly doubt that in the 70s that that's accurate. There's no
Mm-hmm.
way it was 1 in
Yep,
a
I
million.
agree.
It just means that there was nobody
mhm,
talking.
yep. Another thing that's going on too is the sexualizing of the abuse, right? So I'm sure, probably, likely, most of us are aware, but if not, that there's actually, basically, I'm just gonna say how it is, porn, that they actually, the number one searched, sought after, was of incest. It was of a mother taking advantage of her son or her stepson, or the father taking advantage of the daughter, or cousins being together, or siblings. That was the number one most sought type of porn. And this was last year that I heard that. So I don't know what this year is. I don't know. But it's turned into a thing. Like, and that kind of, it's just, it's not a good, it's not good. It's not good. We shouldn't be normalizing that this is like good, right, okay, um, fantasizing, right? It's a whole traumatic event that changes and affects us moving forward. And so it's kind of lessening that for us, the actual trauma involved, when it's turned into something that's put into a fantasy land. Um, it's a bit disrespectful, I must say. I must say it is. But so here's, let me connect this over to you. And this one has let me take this one down. And I'm just dropping every single one of these links are going to be in my description. So I will drop this as well to you. And that way you guys can look through this and pick what is fitting to you. So what Locum I was saying, like, trust your gut, what feels right. Um, and what is fitting for you in your circumstance, what you've been through and experienced, and where you're trying to go with it. So if you don't think you feel comfortable in a certain group, don't do it, right? This is all about what's the best journey for you. And so there's a lot of options on here. So um, this one, it's under, it has websites and resources offering support and help. And it's anything from forums, chat rooms, self help, general resources to survivors. It's sexual violence. And they're organized by, like, there's peer support, military service members, veterans, male survivors, culturally specific online support, support for partners of sexual abuse survivors, sexual assault program should review the resource, become familiar, blah, 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 right? So I'm dropping it and you can read the whole thing. But this one here would be for peer online support, and it's abuse, rape, domestic violence, and it's a resource center. And it gives it a little description, right? So the website is devoted to providing information and resources for survivors, their families and friends, and agencies and programs which serve them. Started and run by survivors. Topics include sexual assault, stalking, and domestic violence. And here we have adult survivors of child abuse. And this one, it's international self-help support group program designed specifically for adult survivors of neglect, physical, sexual, and or emotional abuse. The ASCA, um, social media maybe, program offers community-based self-help support groups, provider-based self-help support group, Web-based self-help support groups, and survivor to thrive to thriver workbooks. And so, um, this one is adult females molested as children by other females, right? So it's something we don't. Again, we're all unique, and I know that, right? It's not the same dynamic. This can be considered. It could be a coach. It could be somebody from church. It could be a neighbor. That all constitutes in the same realm as falling under incest because of the fact that they were somebody you knew, somebody you were close to, and they were in a role that had some type of power or authority over you to where they could have groomed you, put you in a position to which they had power and authority to prevent you from stopping them, from speaking out against them. And so it kind of the spectrum is big on here. So again, this is if a female did it to a female, and
It seems like they have literally every type of abuse, and that is absolutely amazing because, like you said, it's
This is
different for
amazing.
everyone, and
Yeah.
I really love that they have it broken down into so many different websites that can really help you, and so I wanna encourage you guys, like, there's 12
This is
pages, Jordan,
huge.
don't read all
This
don't
is
read all
I
amazing.
know
Yeah. This
it.
is
Let me
amazing.
grab
And
us.
I've said before, for example, my mom, when she came down with cancer, the biggest support for her was to have a group like this. When I started dealing with my issues and everything, my mom actually was looking for people that she could speak to. I actually gave her some Facebook groups for her to go to. These things are, this is great, Burton. This really is.
So it's a lot of, yeah, like, and the silence. This one here, what you could do poetry. Oop, you can do poetry, visual art dedication to ending the silence surrounding sexual violence. Their mission is to promote communication about sexual violence by empowering survivors, and their loved ones to use creative expressions as a tool to reclaim their voices. This one over here, incest resources, for refuge, gift from
Seems like
within.
too, like, if you start looking at one and you decide that it's not for you,
You
you
have to
don't like it,
yeah.
maybe you don't enjoy the people that are in the chat there or
Mhm.
any of those things, right? There is
Yeah.
so many other
Much.
choices
Yes.
that you could
Don't feel
just go to
discouraged.
another one. Yeah,
Yeah.
keep going until you
Yep.
find the right one, till you
Yep.
find what works for you
Yep.
personally, because we're all different.
Exactly. It's like a therapist. You're going to probably go to multiple before you find one that works for you. It's the same with this.
Mhm. Yep.
And I agree. I'm following everyone in chat. Have your animals, or animals can help tremendously when you're dealing with emotions too. They've been talking in chat about that.
Thanks. I'm trying to find this other page here, but I don't know where exactly we're at with it. But there's also hotline. So you've got the number that Nicole, I believe Nicole's the one that's been dropping it. So that's been being dropped throughout. It's this rain that we've been on, the site that we've been on. But that one is 24/7. And there are so many different options that they give you of type of help that they can offer to you as well. Counseling. Then there's like local, right? Something that's local to you that you can do. You could do the Facebook groups where it's a support group, but like I said, you can sure that you only enter ones that are closed, so you can feel like you could speak and it's not out
Yes.
there publicly. And so keep an eye on all of these different things, and you'll find something that fits for you that you can just be able to speak out and have your voice heard and be understood. I think that's most important that we no longer feel as though we're silenced and that we can't speak out about it because of X, Y, or Z, right? All
Mm-hmm.
of that doesn't matter. What matters is you. You are important. You matter and you deserve healing. And so we just want to be of encouragement to you. And if you ever need any other resources, reach out to us and we can help lead you in the right direction. And if you just want somebody to listen, we can do that as well. I'm still trying to find this one specific thing here. I don't know what's going on. Okay, here's one. Here we go, everybody. This is another one I'm going to also drop for you. It's under incest aware. Learn about it, talk about it, but it talks about other things as well, and it includes also the and like Stigma said, there is what 12 pages on that one that I was just on. There was many
You
options with
got
that
it.
one.
No.
This one, personal support options. And so for incest survivors having a hard time, wanting to path of thriving support groups and communities can be a lifeline. And so here you have, it's called 1 in 6. It's organization sponsors free anonymous chat-based support groups for male survivors of sexual abuse seeking a community of support. And then it talks, Monday through Friday, right? They have different days that maybe fit in your schedule. The Help Room is an anonymous online group chat option that allows members of community who have been affected by sexual violence to connect with one another. Trained staff facilitate group discussions to ensure a safe environment for all visitors to discuss topics and experiences related to sexual violence. Hidden Water Circle, they meet weekly or in person or online. I Survive is one. And the
Natasha, make sure you take care of you, dear. Um, I'm glad your friends are coming. And also, Neil said up above too, not to
mhm,
interrupt you, Burden, but
go for it.
he said to remember that your local hospital has a list of resources too.
Yeah.
Usually, Office of the Social Work or even have emergency department usually has a list of local resources. So, if you go to the hospital through all of this, which you should if this happens to you to get your kit done, they also have a list of resources for counseling, etc.
Yeah. Thank you, Neil. Appreciate that. Thank you for reading that, Swift Mom. So I'm dropping this one for you as well that also has the lists that go down through and anything that possibly fits or speaks to you, right? If that's something that you feel you would feel comfortable speaking in, you can pick. There's so many options. And also the one that Nicole's been dropping as well. But so there is a lot out there for us that we don't have to feel silenced, everybody. You really don't. And take care of you, especially since this conversation is likely going to continue, right? So um, what's going on online, right, with Jared? He doesn't have court until the 30th. So there's a lot coming out. There's a lot of ex coworkers that are coming out and speaking out. There are um, his fam, the people that were involved are kind of speaking out as well. And so then you also are starting to learn a bit about himself, right? The way he runs his businesses, and it seems as though he's kind of been pulling pulling the wool over the eyes of us and implying that they were on a shoestring budget. In fact, he's actually made a lot of money. So a lot is being exposed and coming out, and it's all alleged, right? So we're not, and that's for the purpose of a legal purpose, and not because we don't believe what's happened, because we do. And so just have the
It's the other
tools
thing too,
of
though, with this topic. Sorry.
go ahead.
The I don't doubt this victim at all.
Hmm.
Not even a little bit. And I know that there's a lot of criticism right now about the GoFundMe that was put up, but it wasn't put up by our victim.
Her.
It was put up by
Exactly.
his sister. And I don't want to say that I think she has ill intentions because I don't know where her heart is at. But you always just have to question whenever people were sitting here saying, look, they're not asking for money. This victim is not asking for money. She didn't file a civil suit about him. That was our whole big deal. And the next day, a $1 million GoFundMe gets set up. And you have to wonder if it wasn't intentional to try to discredit what this survivor is saying.
Hmm.
Um, And so I just want people to keep that thought in the back of their mind. Like, we don't know the true intentions behind that GoFundMe. It could have been something that was done not thinking, and she just didn't realize that it was going to get backlash. She just didn't realize that it was going to look as bad as it did. Um, but it was not our victim who put this up. You know, don't let what she has said and the things that we have seen with our own eyes with the emails and things like that, don't let all of that be discredited by the actions of someone else.
Well said right there. Because it's very easy for all of us. All of us try to start filling in, and our gut goes in a certain way and all that. But how many times do we make a decision and decide on something, then later on find out we didn't have all the information? Okay, a victim needs to be believed, and sometimes family members do weird things, and just, I mean, everyone's human. We don't know the whole thought behind it. In fact, at one time people were like, oh, was it a troll or something like that? Well, it wasn't. But we don't know where their thoughts and their minds are at that time. But the focus is the victim, plain and simple.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so we just want you guys to be sure that you're taking care of yourselves through
Yeah.
all of this. And this is, it's two things. It's not the end of the conversation that's going to be going on YouTube, right? It's going to continue. Um, but it is the beginning of you knowing you have a safe place and having resources to fall back on and to reach out so that you don't struggle, right? So you can get through this, because we shouldn't have to be run off of YouTube because of it, but we also need to protect ourselves, right? And protect our comfort, right? If we're feeling triggered, we can't stick around. You got to take care of you. And so we just wanted to be just a place that's a bit different from the which you're typically hearing right now on the topic, and give you a
I
place
was
that
just
you.
going to mention the grounding and then Lokamai put it in the chat. I was going to ask you, Lokamai, do you want to show them the grounding techniques in case you guys,
Let's see if I can
because
pull it
with
up.
this, I mean, we know that once YouTube gets on a topic, this is where they're going to stay until the next big topic, right?
Yes.
And so
Exactly.
we transitioned from Kylie to Quentin, and now we're from Quentin to Jared. And that's just the reality of this. A lot of the channels that we're going to be watching for the next probably week and a half, right, are going to be over and over and over again reading these emails, bringing up what happened. And if it is something that is hard for you, if it's a conversation that's hard for you, you know, Lokamai has these really awesome grounding techniques that can help.
Yeah. Yeah, it's something because sometimes you may not even think you're going to get triggered. I know with me, some days I think I'm going to be totally fine and have had no problems. And the same thing happens for the millionth time. And for some reason, it triggers me that time. And there's a lot of different ways people can do things, okay, from crystals to listening to music to going for a run to, I mean, you name it. I say for every one of us, we should just pull something up on your phone and create a list of ways that you can calm yourself down, deep breathing exercises, all sorts of different things. Because the problem is when you're triggered and when you are having an anxiety attack or something, is not the time for you to be thinking, okay, now how do I calm myself down? Okay, that's used to be what I used to do. And so one of the greatest ways, and this was not around back when I was starting to learn my skills and all, and I loved this one way to do it. And I'm actually going to be working on a video at some point in the future about this. But 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, and you're dealing with your senses. Again, remember we're talking about how can you get your mind to stop maybe physical feelings, memories that just keep flooding back in. Okay, all those things. So you can do this anywhere. You can be standing in the middle of a grocery line and do this. You could be laying in your bed in the middle of the night watching, okay, YouTube and do this. So you start yourself just breathing. Remember, breathe in through the nose, out through your mouth. Okay, just take a couple breaths in that way. And then look around. Look around you everywhere and look for 5 things you can see. Okay, me right now, I can see my diamond painting. I can see how it glitters, the colors in it, and stuff like that. Okay, I can see my shirt, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I got a little stain right there. And you start noticing those little things. 5 things you see, 4 things you can touch. Okay, it might be the feel of your shirt on your clothes. Okay, it might be your hair, a tangle in your hair, something like that. If you're at your laptop, it might be the feel of your keys and how J and F kind of have a little bump on them to let you know that you're on J and F. Okay, 3 things you can hear. My dog's barking nonstop. Okay, the sound of my air conditioner. Okay, things on those levels. 2 things you can smell. Just take a deep breath in. What can you smell? And this gets harder as time goes on, and you got to listen a little bit more. Okay, pay attention a little bit more. Maybe you smell someone cooking dinner across the way, or a fireplace, or you smell the dust in your bookshelf or something like that. And then last, one thing that you can taste. Okay, we can always taste something. Swallow. What do you taste in your mouth? Is your mouth dry? Can you taste toothpaste from this morning? The rest of your iced tea? Things like that. By the time you've gotten there, you've allowed your mind to kind of reset. And you can get back to whatever it was doing. But most times I find this really does help if you just start practicing it. So that way when the time comes and you are anxious or nervous or triggering, having memories, whatever, you've already have the skill practiced and you know exactly how to do it. So that's a real quick rundown of it. So I hope that helps you guys. There we go. Hope
Yeah,
that helps at least.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Pixel Pixie said, yes, describe the now to yourself. I am in my bedroom. My dog is on my lap. I just ate some food. That's a good way
Yes.
to do it too.
That
Yeah.
is a great way. We all have different ways we do it. Okay, if you look at, okay, well, I've been on camera and you've been able to see me doing different things throughout it if I started feeling ways. I'm sure Burden's been the same, Sleuth has been, even if it's just fear of coming up on panel. Okay, all of us get these little fears. These are ways that we can calm ourselves, okay, and move forward. So it's helpful with that because we know good and well. We are going to be seeing nothing but this story for the next couple weeks. And sometimes something is going to reach out and grab us quickly, and we're not going to be prepared for it. So,
I remember back in the day whenever B. Tim used to be afraid to go on panel.
oh my God, and look at it
Really?
now. Oh,
Did he
yeah.
really? I never could see that being a thing ever. Not for him.
It is the scare. The first time you go on panel is freaking scary. And then you get after that, and I'm like, okay, whatever. Click the button. I'm there. And, Tim loves his panels.
I was just
Yes.
kidding because I know even whenever he's on panel with Queen Bee, whenever one of us are live, he usually still has his earbuds listening to us too.
Yeah.
Usually at a lower, so I hope that he's listening right now and heard me say that
Hi,
because
Tim.
Hello,
sorry. Anyways,
Tim. That's funny. That's really, really funny.
Oh, that's good. That is good.
Do you think that we should add anything? Is there anything that you ladies can think of off the top of your head that we should add? Do you have any questions in chat for us or anything else that you would like us to share?
I think we covered it.
I think
I
we
mean,
did.
I think we did really well considering that we didn't make it past the first picture for the longest time, but
Exactly.
we really wanted to be discussing, right? And just talking. So we
Yeah.
did that a lot. And
Yeah.
I hope that you guys utilize the resources that she gave to
Yes.
us as well. If you need these resources, please, please use them. And, maybe share them on your social media because you
Yes.
never know who on your friends list is going through this.
Exactly. How many people get affected by this? I guarantee you, you have friends who have never told you they're going through this. And like Burden said, okay, looking at the different places, let us know if any of you are looking for someone you can reach out to. The mods have been amazing sharing all of our emails. Okay, come and talk with us. Okay, let us know if it's just you need a group. Maybe you need a group you could come join that's not specifically just that subject. We've got a couple discords here. You know, it's just going out and reaching out. People are going to be there for you. I guarantee you. You will not be alone.
Yeah. Yeah, I completely agree. Yeah, you're gonna have somebody there for you. You will. You know, just doing the first step of reaching out to somebody,
Just the first.
and I think you'll be happily surprised. And yeah, I want you to I know that we're gonna be actually I don't know. I think we're gonna be on Locamize, right? Is that right?
Yeah,
We
I
will
believe so.
be. I got to figure
Yeah.
out the time, but we will be over there next week. Just got to figure out the
Okay.
time.
And we're gonna also probably be surprising you with what we're talking about. Yeah?
Surprise, surprise. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, so it'll be fun though. It'll be fun. It'll be good. You'll love it. You'll love it.
Yeah.
I highly
If
recommend you
you
come
guys
check us
have
out.
ideas, though, if anyone
Yeah.
in chat has ideas, you've seen how it doesn't always have to be what we think it needs to be. This subject was a great subject for all of us to be able to come to. So if you guys have other ideas, just throw them out our direction and we'll see what we can do about it. So, yeah.
Yeah, and as Neil
Meow,
touched on,
meow.
yeah, Neil, that just keep in mind that it's not just females, right? It's not just women that can be victims in any form of abuse, right? Any form of the abuse, it absolutely can be men. And then there's another stigma added to that, another layer,
Yeah.
right? That
Oh
they're the
my
man,
God,
and so
yes.
you can't like it's more humiliating if they were
Yeah.
to admit to anybody
Yeah.
what happened, you know.
Exactly.
So yeah, don't just limit it. It can be any gender, it can be any race. I mean, anybody, all of us, we're all human. And just be gentle with yourself and be gentle with others. Be understanding and patient, and be there for one another. And I think that we're going to get through this and we're going to be okay. And we all want justice. Absolutely. We do. We absolutely do. For her and for every victim that's been through it and come out to be survivors on the other end. You know, if we couldn't get it for ourselves, to get it for these other ones that, like, we looked at that chart and every about a minute, there's another person that's been affected and been assaulted. And so I think that we're stronger together, everyone. I really do. You're never alone. And make sure that you check out both of their channels. We've been but I leave dropping it in the chat for you, but we're going to drop it again. And so check out their channel, go over, subscribe. They give great content over there on both of their channels talking about missing, bringing awareness, and you can't go wrong. I absolutely love their channels and adore them as the women that they are. So you won't be disappointed with it. But if you guys have any questions or anything, like we said, reach out to us. Take care of yourselves. And we hope that you all have a really good night. Thank you, ladies, for coming up and being on the panel tonight in this discussion. It was very important, and I appreciate both of you.
Love
Love
you
you so
guys.
much. Love you so much, my dears. Bye bye.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Bye.